what's interesting is that these are about, this is actually bigger, and it's actually meant to be a subwoofer driver that Logitech uses with an ABR to make it into a 10-inch ABR type subwoofer. But this is what's actually inside powering the 10-inch ABR. But as you can see,
next, the primary mirror.
The magnet motor is completely different.
Then after that, we start.
What's also very interesting is
the covers on the sun shield.
if you know the way motors are made, right? You can see exactly how this one's made. So this works,
the sun shield membranes,
right? You can actually like test the field of this thing based off of, you can feel the flux essentially. But watch this. I'll put it metal side up.
Snag or tear or impede other deployments. It takes 8 days.
That flipped over. But yeah, this thing
is yet to come.
acts as if it's just inert metal. If you have one, you can try it yourself. There's actually no metal, as far as no magnetic flux field around it at all. And I can show you even further. I honestly didn't even know, since I opened up so many drivers, that there was something unique about this until someone I was talking to at the Rocky Mountain Music Festival, I think is what it's called, pointing them out. And this thing has no actual magnetic field. It's bizarre. Watch. This is actually a neodymium magnet. I'm doubling it to make it even more powerful.
It's fully separated from the rest. It worked so well. We said, let's do the second one.
And you're going to continue.
It works over here too.
Let's do the third one.
It works just as if it were just a hunk of solid metal with no magnetic field at all. You cannot feel any actual magnetic field around this thing. It behaves literally as if it's just metal, which is pretty bizarre, considering that this thing is actually over-engineered up to 200 watts, while this thing is rated at 100 watts. So this thing is more powerful than this thing.
Potential single points of failure yet to overcome.
Look at the size of the magnet. You can tell that's not really what the magnet is. First clue, where's the voice coil?
Without a secondary mirror,
the voice coil is actually almost the same exact size as the actual quote magnet or motor, and it actually straddles the driver at the 2/3 mark, as you can see.
And that light then gets
that line right there, basically, is where
this was the hardest one to test on the ground.
The voice coil actually aligns itself to the driver at about 1/3 mark. That's what the one. That's why they did the same. They did the same thing with the blade. It gives it a lot more stability because it pistons it not from the inner rim, but from the 1/3 nodal point. So it works kind of like a dampener too. You actually run this thing free, and due to the fact that the trick to it is that the magnets are actually in the center, not on the outside, rather than having the typical motor like all these other drivers where it's a motor with a lip, a rim, and the coil fits inside.
I will say, today
this thing has a whole bunch of magnets
I felt really relieved.
actually inside of the coil.
This is a simulation based on
You can see a ferrite magnet right there. But if you look at diagrams of it, there's a whole bunch of magnets that line the whole entire inner ring. And so this thing is actually powered invertedly, which is, you know, pretty characteristic of CAF, taking things from the outside and then putting it inside. So I have a feeling they're going to continue on forward doing that, because in the most recent generation, they also switched to a poly basket, because poly baskets are actually just better. They have a lower resonant frequency than metal, and metal tends to kind of, you know, when you're screwing into something like wood or anything softer, tends to cause it to bite in too hard. Plastic's more pliable, more forgiving, and you can make poly into any, you know, type of solution you would need it to have.
Size matters, but it's not enough.
But yeah, this thing has no
JWS
magnetic
is coated in a thin
characteristics,
layer of gold.
yet
Turns out,
it still manages to be more powerful than that thing.
Over 99% of all light.
And I have a video where I max them both out,
So we decided
and this one starts
we
to
will
actually
use a gold
peter out.
filter.
Well, this one seems like it could just
Very
keep
much
going,
gold.
which is why I made the other video of it going up to 200 watts, which is how I blew off the diaphragm to this thing. But the diaphragm only blew off. The actual
It's like a whole lot of gold because you have a lot of surface.
diaphragm still actually works fine. I just put the diaphragm back on,
Men,
and
wedding bands.
that's the diaphragm I actually end up using to do the Metatech
Cannot do the kind of groundbreaking science the team is
demo,
hoping for.
because it still works fine.
Primary mirror is fully
Even though I thought I blew it up, all I did was run it with so much power that it literally just popped off the diaphragm. So yeah, I thought that was a pretty cool thing to share. Thanks.